Hello everybody, Backyard Bullion here, coming to you today with another international fireside chat, and this time it is with the one, the only international stacker. No more words needed to explain him than that. Oh, look at that, he's got a big monster box. How you doing, my friend?
What's up, man? Let's get into this. I am ready to talk about silver.
Excellent stuff. So, how you been? It's been a while since we've seen each other.
When did I meet you in person? Was that 2 years ago or a year and a half?
I don't remember the exact date. It was a good 18 months to 2 years ago at least, and it was like you've got there. In fact, I've got one here as well. Baird & Co. was where we were.
I picked this baby up.
That was the one you bought there and there, was it?
Yeah.
Oh, it's hilarious. So it is funny, isn't it, how the world changes in this time, and we are still both stacking the same type of silver. Look at this. Big chunky Baird bar, and you've got one too.
You remember this? I bought my first penny over there.
Oh, the big cartwheel penny. For those of you who don't know what we're talking about, International Stacker and I met in London and had a really fun day out, trekking around all of the sights and sounds of London coin stores and bullion dealers. And it was a really fun day out. So it's a shame we can't do something more like that, but a big international fireside chat, as I call them, virtually is what we're going to have to do today. So we're going to talk about silver, I think, predominantly, aren't we? I've not got any gold out on the table here. I don't know about you, my friend.
I only brought silver out.
I think it's what everybody wants to talk about at the moment, just silver, 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 because
I mean, it's going so crazy. This is the time we've been waiting for, right?
I know. I mean, it is quite funny because this last 3 years, 4 years of stacking for me and making videos has always been, fairly. Oh, you're opening that chest now just to taunt me. But it's always been fairly conservative in my mind, just going, yeah, you know what? I'm actually not too bothered about the prices having to go really high to make a return.
Right.
A few seconds.
No, I agree with you on that. And it's like, here's the thing. If you're stacking for the short-term flip, it's not a good thing to get into. Stacking, in my opinion, is for the long term. Patience is key. So when I'm stacking stuff, I'm thinking I might hold it for 5 years, I might hold it for 20 years. It depends on the market, what happens, what's going on in my life. But if you stack with that mentality, and if you look at the performance of gold in history over long periods of time, to me, it's a winner. However, I always shop the deals and try to lower my dollar cost average, even though I've got a bunch of this poured silver, which is traditionally more expensive. But by doing that and controlling your dollar cost average, you protect yourself for the future. And people always said to me, oh, you're crazy. You'll never get your premiums back on that poured silver, or silver's going down to $9 and you're going to lose all this money, blah, blah, blah. But you know what? I kept stacking. I kept believing in the fundamentals of gold and silver while also picking up backyard bullion pieces like this. And guess what? Our time has finally come. But I think this is just the start, BYB.
I hope so. I've just worked out that my video was mirrored, so I do apologize for that start to anybody out there who was watching a back to front Baird bar, but it's now I've managed to rectify that. It's really interesting what you're saying though, my friend, that over this period of time, we've been carrying on doing the same things that we normally would do, stacking, buying what we want, enjoying what we buy, but at the same time it's had this run-on effect of being really beneficial in the long run, and it's taken me a little bit by surprise. I genuinely didn't think that it would run up this much, but it took a global pandemic to do it. So it's
look at the past, BYB. Every time we've had a transition of the monetary system, it's been around some sort of crisis, and usually traditionally, like in the States, usually it coincides with going to war or some major incident like that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if you look at the oil crisis and all that, that happened in 71 when we went off the gold standard in the U.S. Before that, our paper currency was backed by gold, right?
Yep.
And we were taken off that because there was essentially a run on the gold because countries figured out that we had way more paper than we had gold to back it up. So that transition happened before, but it's always been around some sort of crisis or international incident. So, I think this pandemic just magnified and pushed over what was already occurring. Like in the U.S., businesses were already closing. We're already having economic issues.
Yeah.
But
totally.
this just, I think we would have been here anyway. This just kind of sped it up.
Yeah, there's definitely an argument for that, and I'm much more coming around to that. For those who've been watching my channel for a long time, you'll know I'm a bit of a pessimist when it comes to. Well, so I'm an optimist actually. I'm a pessimist when it comes to silver exploding and shooting the moon, but that's because I'm an optimist that things will be all right in the end. But this last couple of months and this whole 2020 with beer flu, as you call it, because you're so scared of.
Well, YouTube is demonetizing and shadow banning people, man. Even some of the most predominant YouTube channels out there that are non-silver refuse to say it still. So I'm not giving them any excuse to ban me. Look at this BYB piece here, man.
That was the piece I handed over to you in London, wasn't it?
Yeah, this
So
one and this one. Remember this one?
Yes. Oh, that was a good one. So I think it must have been early 2019 because those pieces would have been made at the end of 2018.
Okay.
That's my estimation. That is a big treasure box, my friend.
Look at this. So here's the crazy thing. Everyone who's into silver, they know poured silver is going to carry more of a premium than your junk or what we call in the U.S. constitutional.
I've got a bunch of it here.
It says that, coin has to be made out of silver. This carries a higher premium. However, with poured silver, I've made a lot of money off of flipping them. I've never lost money off poured silver. I've bought some poured silver strategically, flipped it, and turned it into cold hard cash so I could get more of this stuff. But even with all this in here, which I don't even know how much this is, BYB, I'm guessing it's 600-700 ounces.
Yeah.
My dollar cost average is $18.36 right now.
That's
$18.36, even with all this treasure.
That is good. And you know, that's the ultimate thing here, isn't it? That it's still silver. It's got a safety net to it. But people sometimes will. I've had it loads of times from my stuff and others. People will say any premium item, oh, you're just going to lose money on it when you sell it. It depends how you sell it, where you sell it. Man, you got another BYB piece. How many ounces of BYB pieces have you got in there?
I'm going to dig them out there in this interview and show you. What the heck? You don't have any international stacker poured silver. What's that about, man?
Do you pour silver?
No, but it's coming, so you better prepare to buy.
Well, there you go. I mean, come on, man. You had me going there for a minute. So I'm sure I would have seen you pouring some silver if you'd given it a go.
Oh, dang. No, man. What were we talking about before I just trolled you? I was going to make a really good point. What were we just saying?
I think we were just saying that, well, I was saying that it's still silver, but at the same time, if you take the right approach to selling certain things, you get better returns.
Here is a prime example for you. People, if you look at my comments, man, they're dumpster fires. Like, most of them are good, but there's like people that always rage on me. Like, I don't want to see your hands. You talk too loud. You do this, you do that.
Oh, I know.
Anyway,
I get the same.
I had people raging at me for like stacking American Silver Eagles. Back before this explosion, I was saying American Silver Eagles, at least in the States, should be 25% of your stack. Why? Because they're easy to sell. They're one of the most recognizable coins, and they carry a premium. For instance, say this is a generic silver. Say this is an ASE, American Silver Eagle. If I went into a shop and tried to sell just a generic silver round, they would want to pay me spot or maybe under spot. But before all this went, if you went in with an American Silver Eagle, you could still get anywhere from $1 to $2.50 over spot.
Yeah.
So people get stuck on, I want to buy as close to spot as possible, but they don't realize that you're going to lose a big opportunity for premium. Look what has happened lately with American Silver Eagles. I mean, premium on those things have been up to $10, $12.
It's mad.
So everyone in the past saying, you're stupid for stacking that stuff, you should just get the super generic closest spot as possible. I think they're seeing the fallacy in that approach.
No, I agree. I would tend to agree with you 100% there. In fact, the whole point of buying these coins is not to sell them like you would a big giant bar. I mean, like this big 100-ouncer here is very much, you just send it in to whoever wants to buy it as soon as possible for the cheapest amount, because it's just going to be a spot price type bar, or maybe a little over depending on how you sell it. But coins are much more important to take that time over. Definitely, I would agree with you. And it's people's inability to plan ahead which sometimes gets them into trouble. And it's like right now, I am very, very keen on my channel to keep promoting sensible financial planning, sensible buying of gold and silver, rather than just jumping on the hype train and going and buying as much as you possibly can because somebody out there said it's going to go to $1,000 an ounce or something. It might, but it also might not, you know. And I think I saw you doing a video like that not too long ago. So
well, the thing to remember, man, is even if it goes to $1,000 an ounce, in my opinion, if it went to $1,000 an ounce, it means there's hyperinflation going on, and $1,000 is now worth $100 or what. You get what I'm saying?
I totally know
So
what you mean.
it's all relative. Look at Zimbabwe. How much is an ounce there? Like 35 trillion.
And Venezuela, it's
You know what I mean?
totally agree. So
Here's part of
international. Sorry,
go ahead.
no, you were going to say something.
I was saying the one thing you're saying about being responsible, and of course, I'm not a financial advisor, but even though I got this cool silver, I always shop the deals to get the cool silver. So I'm looking on sites, I'm looking for sales for this. I'm contacting MK bars and saying, hey, if I get a bunch of pieces, can you give me a discount? I don't know if you remember BYB, but the first time I bought silver off you, I'm pretty sure if I said, hey, if I get multiple pieces, can you give me a discount? So
Totally.
part of what I do and being responsible is I shop the deals. If I find something I want, I don't buy it until I can find some sort of deal, some sort of discount, or something that makes sense. So that way it gives me that much more wiggle room to make money on it in the end.
I seem to remember as well, when you bought the first pieces off me, you said, can I have a discount if I do a bit of a video for you as well? And I was like, hell's yes.
Yeah, I probably did do that too. And also too, to go back to my previous statement, I am into generic silver. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying to stack only Horde silver. I think a good healthy stack needs all the different types of silver. But for me, I see 25% ASCs as being key, 25% constitutional silver, and then the rest I do a mix of generic or poured silver or these different things. So they all have their use case. So don't get me wrong. I do stack generic. However, like, what would you rather get? One of these or like a generic round? You know what I mean?
Totally. The American Eagles are a dime a dozen. There's so many of them out there, but something like any of those pieces in that box is completely unique. Nothing will be exactly the same. Even two pieces mass produced by MK bars will be different. So, it's down to each individual preference, I suppose. But I totally agree with you about having a foundation. That is really, really key. And for you guys in the US, American Silver Eagles make complete sense. For us in the UK, it's Britannia's or other capital gains tax exempt coins. So it's interesting to see the different bits of culture there. Here's the question though, International Stacker, are there any pieces of silver in that box that you'd never consider selling?
That I'd never consider selling?
Yeah.
Maybe I'm a bit of a heretic in that regard. Like, I see this as a fun way to preserve my wealth in my future.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty sure I would sell most things. I'm trying to dig in here. I have actually done 2 silver pours in my life. My first one was with the man, myth, legend, MK Bars. So I might keep that one.
Yeah.
And then I did pour this one with Mindo Mint, but I'd probably sell that.
Sure.
I think there's very few pieces of silver I wouldn't part with if I didn't need to. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's perfectly normal. I see a lot of what I have as expendable one day. I think there's things I put in order of I wouldn't sell it until it was the last piece of silver that I had. But there's certainly you've got to have this pragmatism with you if you're going to be stacking precious metals, because otherwise, what's the point? Otherwise you might as well just put the money in the bin if you're never going to touch it again. It's meant to be.
This is it, BYB.
That's the one you did.
That's my first coin or silver I ever poured.
Oh, he didn't let you write your name on the back of it.
I didn't want to. He asked me. I'm like, no, I want the MK Bar stamp on this puppy.
So there's one piece I've got here, which you may have seen on the channel. I've got my Void.
Oh, I was gonna say. So that means you can sell it to me because you're willing to part with your silver.
I know you want it. You keep saying to me that you want it, but I will be keeping
buy
this
right now if you let me.
No, I'll be keeping it for a while. I'm afraid, my friend. It is going to stay with me. It's one of those things that just was magic when it happened, and I couldn't not keep it for at least a year or so. I don't know quite what we're going to do with it, but maybe we'll do an auction for charity or something at one end. But yeah,
you know my name for that, don't you?
What did you suggest?
I wanted to call it the Roly Poly.
The Roly Poly. Now there were some really good names, but Void seemed to kind of fit with it best for me. It was my favorite of the 3 that I suggested when we did our little celebration kind of giveaway thing on 25k subs. So talking of which, are you going to do something special for 20k or 25k, because you'll be there in about a week's time, judging on how well your channel's blowing up at the moment?
It's been absolutely insane, BYB, and a lot of it has to do with the current silver and gold action we're seeing, which is historic.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. when I do giveaways or GA, so if people are watching and don't know what a GA is, it stands for giveaway. I like to just do it spontaneously. I don't like to tie it to subscribers. I don't want people subbing to my channel just for that. I want them subbing for the journey.
Yeah.
And then I see giveaways as a way to reward. You know, hey, thank you for being a subscriber. Thank you for coming with me to the silver and gold markets in Africa or across the Middle East or wherever I end up. So to answer your question, I am planning to give away. It's coming soon, and it is going to be mega. It's going to be mega-er than the last mega. And for those of you who don't know, the last GA I did, first place was a kilo of silver. First place, and I gave away 5 prizes. So this time, it's going to be even crazier, so prepare yourselves.
That is definitely one not to miss. If like you guys haven't seen an international stack of GAR, it's incredible. I'm sorry, that was a very British way of saying GAR.
The GA Goblin, man, he collects. Watch out for him.
So international stacker, what's your favorite coin?
My favorite coin? I think I got it here. Hold up.
In one of your massive bullion bags.
Here we go.
You don't,
Morgan silver dollar, probably.
You don't hold any punches, do you, my friend?
I do like Morgans. I don't know, though. I'm going back and forth. I think my favorite coin design is a Mercury dime, but I do love Morgans just because I can imagine like a cowboy walking in the saloon, you know, shots for the boys or something. You know what I mean?
No, I do know what you mean. I've got a fair few of them as well. I used to keep a watchful eye on eBay for good deals coming up on auctions and stuff. And even at coin fairs, you can find them in some of the bins and just pick them up for really good prices. So I do like them as well. One coin though, if you've not seen, you must have seen these before, but if you haven't seen them on your travels, get them. They are wonderful.
Oh, Towers.
Yeah.
So I got a bunch of those in Saudi Arabia, and they call them Real Francia, which means like French.
Yeah.
They used to pay with those still in their markets up to 20 years ago.
I know. And in Turkey, apparently, they still are fairly widespread in some of the more rural marketplaces, which is quite impressive, I think. So there's definitely some history attached to these, in not just the way they look, but modern history too, which is fascinating. I love them. I just love the rims of them. They are phenomenal.
I love the colors, man. So all these pieces right here, BYB, are your pieces that I bought from you. I think there's probably a few more, but these are all BYB pieces right here.
Could always go and dig out my records and find.
I bought this from BYB that ended up being on 4th of July. I didn't even plan it, but it's like a Freedom Eagle type thing. So I brought it from a British guy on 4th of July.
It's an irony that is holding no bounds, I think, isn't it? But it's okay. I didn't take it personally. That was a long time ago, and we can just put the war to one side, shall we?
Well, I don't know. You're the one that brought it up. I didn't even realize what I had done until I saw the video.
Oh man. So how are you guys over there in the US coping with? I mean, like we've all seen what the mainstream media's like, but for you, I know you've traveled a lot, but you've probably been stuck in the US a fair amount this year.
Yeah, well, I've been working. So I went to the East Coast for a 6-day trip right when this was all starting.
Yeah.
And I ended up being there 150 days in the area. So for me, for those that don't know, the reason why I travel the world buying gold and silver is I work in emergency management, homeland security type issues, right? Yeah. So I help governments and countries and even some big companies prepare for any kind of disaster, try to mitigate them or lessen the impact. And then if it does happen, how do we respond, evacuate people, this and that? So that is the reason why I travel so much buying gold and silver. So when disaster strikes, I'm working. So for a while, I didn't release any videos on my channel, and I felt kind of bad about that. But I was working 16, 17-hour days. When this thing first started and the state of emergency went in, I was in the command center probably between 15 to 17 hours a day for the first 68 days in a row. Okay, it was insane. What I can tell you is the numbers are going down. The CFR, or the case fatality rate's a lot lower than what the models and people thought that it was going to be. We ended up not needing as many ventilators, so that's the good news. And when you're running modeling, it's only as good as the data you have. So when the whole
Yeah.
thing started, very little data. But now that we're getting more data, the unfortunate thing with the US is politics are so insane right now, and people would rather shut down society to get the current incumbent, out of office, whether you agree with it or not, whether you like him or not. They will do anything to get Trump out.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, this whole response has been hijacked for political reasons. But I can tell you, I was part of the MERS corona. I said it now. I was part of the MERS bear flu response in the Middle East. And the same thing happened there. At first, the numbers look crazy. That one was a case fatality rate of up to 40% at first. But what happens is so many people that had it just get over it. They think it was the flu. They didn't realize they actually had it. So you're missing this whole pool of cases, right?
Yeah.
As more cases get found, the case fatality rate drops, okay? So the case fatality rate globally has been dropping because of more testing. However, there's going to be millions of people who had it and never get tested. So in reality, although the case fatality rate is low right now, it's even lower, probably on a magnitude of 10. So that's the good news. The bad news is it's turned totally political. Hopefully after November, things calm down a little bit.
So with all of that said, what are your wonderful international insights on how it's going to affect silver and gold? I know we've seen some big price increases already, but where do you think it's going to go over the next 3 months in the build-up to the election?
Here's what I'll say. Gold and silver throughout history have been a safety play. Usually whenever there's danger, death, destruction, threat, whatever, war, major issues, people invest their currency or their fiat cash, which means paper currency that was just put into existence. People put that into gold and silver to preserve the wealth. So I can tell you the more drama, the more death, destruction, the more threats, escalations or tension is escalating with China between the US. The more that stuff happens, the more you're going to see gold and silver either hold where they're at or continue to rise. Additionally, we're facing an economic issue in the United States that's going to be worse than 2008. It's not a conspiracy. Markets go up and down, up and down. They're cyclical, and this down is going to be worse because we kicked the can down the road, unfortunately, in 2008. So I see the use case for gold and silver to go up. I think for sure we're going to see silver past 50 by the end of the year. At first I was saying 30, but before we broke 25, I changed it to 50. That's just based on my personal opinion, looking at charts, looking at the history of silver. And here's the thing. I think silver will break 100 in the future. And people are like, oh, that's crazy. That's poppycock or whatever they're going to say, right?
Yeah.
But it's not, because if you inflation adjust the run in the 1980s, we already had triple digit silver. If you look at what it was going for in the 1980s and inflation adjusted for today, it's like $145. And even in 2011, if you inflation adjust it today, it was in the 60s. So my point is, we've been there twice before, and we're going to be there again. And my last thing I'll say about silver, which is why I like it almost better than gold, besides the monetary history, it is the best conductor of electricity in terms of a metal out there. The best conductor of electricity. And domestic stackers walking in here. Say hi to Backyard Bullion over in London. Throw your hand in here. Say hi.
Hey there. Some good silver out in London.
Hey.
Yeah.
Awesome.
That's
Thank you.
Ireland. Get out of
Sorry,
here.
where's my tea?
Get out of here, you dumb American. Get out of here. So anyways, silver is the best conductor of electricity. So as more countries turn to green technologies, for instance, California, 2022, every new house has to have solar panels. The more that demand increases, the more silver is going to be needed. So not only is silver good because of thousands of years of monetary history, it also has industrial demand attached to it that is only going to increase in the future. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is why I stack silver.
That is quite the concise answer, I have to say. It's an interesting one. Like, everybody's going to have their differing opinions. And I think it's interesting that I think, a slightly differing opinion. I genuinely do think as well as you that silver will continue to rise. I don't think we're going to get up to 100. I could be wrong. I probably will be wrong, but I also can't really see
Put a bet on this? Should we put a bet on this?
I don't really think I'm not that confident. I get less confident every day, but I still genuinely think that silver will rise. I think we are adjusting to a new norm. I genuinely don't think we're going to see I like to think we're summer children of silver. So we've had this period of really low prices for this last couple of years, and I don't think we're going to go back there. So I think what we're seeing right now is the new norm. But at the same time, I think that the world is really egging to get back to normal. And elections
Oh
aside,
yeah.
and once the elections are put to one side, I don't really want to go into the politics of it because this election genuinely could drag on well into 2021 with how it's looking at the moment.
Well, if they do mail-in ballots, man, are you kidding me? I can't even send giveaway wins to people without getting lost right now, and they want to do ballots.
Let's not open up that can of worms, but I know what you mean. That basically the election is going to have an impact. It's going to have an impact ongoing, I think, for the next couple of months into 2021. But when things settle, I genuinely think there'll be an era of let's try and get back to normal as best as possible, and there will be, I think, a boom, an economic boom. But the problem is that we've already experienced such a huge economic drop that boom will at best get us halfway back to where we once were. So that means in my head that silver will continue to rise as the uncertainty happens, as things go back to normal. I think that things will come down again for silver as investors and hedge fund managers and all the big players in the market go and put their cash into other assets. That's a nice bunker bullion piece. Wow, look at that.
I don't even want to touch it because I want to stay shiny.
Dude, you distracted me from my point. So what I think I'm trying to say here is I agree with you that I think silver's going to go up. I don't know quite how high it's going to be. If it goes over 100, then I'll eat my hat. I genuinely will. I'll be the first to come out on YouTube and say I was wrong. I've made countless videos saying no way $100 silver. If it happens, I will be the first to say I was wrong.
Well, I hope your hat's made out of beef jerky. Back in Bullion,
I have a straw hat, so technically that can be digestible. I don't know, but
there you go.
yeah, it's a difficult one to know what happens. And I think for anybody who is out there who's like new to silver, and it's lovely, isn't it, for us? We've got this wonderful hindsight sitting here with these stacks of silver, and if you don't have that already and you're looking to get into this market, it can be a really dangerous time because you don't know when the peak's going to be. You don't know when the best time to sell anything that you might have might be. And if you are buying up that curve and you buy at $30, $40, $50, $70, there is still money to be made if it's going to go to 100 plus. But it will come down again.
BYB? FOMO, guys. Fear of missing out.
Yeah.
Don't let that control you. Do not chase the market. Be smart. For me, because I stack for the long term, it makes it easy. I just hold on to it. I'm not worried if I need to sell next week or the week after. I mean, if an opportunity comes, I'll do it.
Yeah.
But do not chase the market. Be responsible. Do not get over in your head. Do not take a $50,000 mortgage on your house and go, well, silver's going to break 100 by the end of the year. I'll get the money back and pay it back. Be safe. Be responsible.
Well said, my friend. I think there's no better advice than that. It is just simply common sense in my mind. I think borrowing to buy silver is one of the worst things that you could possibly do with your cash. But I don't know. There's so much to learn, I think, if you're a new stacker right now, that the best thing you can do is just absorb all the information that wonderful people like International Stacker and many others have on their channels. It's how I got started. I'm sure it's a similar way with yourself. How did you get started with silver? I'm sure you've said it in a video on your channel before, but what was the first piece of silver you bought?
So the first, I'll say, so I got into cryptos in like 2014. So I was mining Bitcoin when it was around $400 or $500 a coin. So I was contracting in Saudi Arabia. Long story short, I got a friend into it, and he's like, hey, me and my friend stack silver. I'm like, stack silver? What is that? And he told me about it, told me about Provident.com. So I went on YouTube and I started watching videos. And I saw Silver Slacker, and he was one of the ones that encouraged me to make my own channel and share my journey. So with Silver Slacker, then I found a bunch of the Metal Mafias guys and a lot of the old school guys, Pit Bullion and Hi-Ho Silver and all these guys. But the funny thing is, before I was even just stacking, I remember seeing a video where a guy had silver all over his table, and he's like, hey guys, I just wanted to let you know I'm quitting stacking, blah, blah, blah. And there's like, psych, it was like a joke video. But then when I found out about silver stacking and all that, it came full circle. I'm like, oh, that's what that video was. So I got exposed to it by mistake. I got into cryptos and I did really well with Bitcoin. And part of this I bought with Bitcoin, believe it or not.
Yeah.
But then I learned about gold and silver stacking. I learned about the use case, the history. And I'm like, okay, time to shift my money from really non-tangible things. And people say, well, Bitcoin's tangible because you have an address, you can print it, and you can have it in cold storage. Yeah, I get that. But to have true, tangible wealth that has thousands of years in history. And here's the one thing I like to say, BYB.
Go for
This
it.
is a gold or silver coin. I can go in a time machine back to Roman days and buy stuff with it.
Yeah.
If I'm in Roman days, if I do the same thing to nowadays, I can buy stuff with it. There's very few other assets in the world, if any, that you could do that with, besides if they think like an object is like witchcraft or something. I mean, I guess you could go back with a lighter and they would be amazed.
I'm sure if you went back with a lot of things from the modern times, they'd be fairly amazed. But I know exactly what you mean. It transports your wealth through time. It's not a get-rich-quick scheme. And I think a lot of people are getting confused about that now because they're seeing the potential for 70% growth in a month. You know, that's what's happened with silver in the last month, 70% growth. But that's not really a get-rich-quick scheme. And also, you don't actually make any money on this stuff until you actually cash out, which I find, this is the interesting thing I've seen on your channel. You've made a couple of videos showing your spreadsheet, going, I made 70 grand with silver, but you haven't cashed it out yet, my friend.
Well, I even say that in the video.
I know you do. I'm only teasing.
The main reason I make videos like that, BYB, is because I'm trying to get out there to the new stackers, the people searching, trying to get into it. And if anything, I think I make a really measured, even though I think silver's going to go to 50 then 100, I have a really measured approach. I tell people beware, be careful not to do FOMO. But I make video titles like that to get the new people rushing into it, to kind of give them a contrarian perspective. Because if you go to a lot of channels right now, get in before you can, buy all the silver you can, it's going to the moon. And that's when people get hurt. And the last thing I want to see is people get hurt and get turned off from this stuff. I want the whole world to stack gold and silver. So I try to give a measured approach in that regard.
I think we're very similar like that. I've always striven to do the same thing on my channel, just to make sure that people have all the information, because there are so many, and it's not in any personal attack to any one channel or any multiples of channels, but there are a lot of biased opinions out there. And a lot of the news articles, for example, if you just Google search, is it a good time to buy silver? Probably the first few articles you'll see, or probably all of the first page, will be from bullion dealers. They'll have blogs, they'll have biased articles on their websites, so that if somebody looks at it, they'll go and then buy on that site. So there's always an agenda, and it's really important to remember, do your research, understand the whole picture before you jump head over heels.
And what I'll say, Backyard Bullion, is if you want to be protected in stacking gold and silver, plan for the long run. If you plan to stack for the long run, for me, it's retirement, or if some opportunity pops up before then, I can sit back and watch, because over the long run, I know I'm going to be protected from any crazy dip or any crazy run, and that I'm going to preserve my wealth, because really I see metals not as an investment. I see it as a hedge against inflation and a way to preserve your wealth.
Totally.
Hey, if I can make money along the way, that's a bonus, but that's the way I see it. And if you kind of go at it with that strategy, you're protected, your dollar cost averaging over years. Like, look at me, I've got about 6,000 ounces of silver, and my dollar cost average is in the 1830s, but that's because I bought over time. And then if there's ever a dip in the market, I'll spend more money into that dip to lower that average. But buying over time, trying to guess the market, and I do try to guess the market and get the most I can, don't get me wrong, but basing everything on guessing the market, you're going to fail. You're not going to do it. The key is to stack over time, protect yourself, and don't look for the quick flip scheme. Now, saying that, I am known for flipping. So I do look for unique coins that come out, like the Palladium Proof. I bought for $1,500 or something, and I sold it for like $2,600 within a week. I got the reversed enhanced proof Eagle for 70 and sold that for like 700. So you can make money quick that way and turn it into more of this stuff. But your main purpose of stacking, if you're stacking, should be stacking for the long term. That has the highest protection. That's my opinion, at least.
Yep. No, I would tend to agree with that as well. Is there a magic number, though, that if silver went to, that you'd be like, I'm taking the money. I'm taking the money and I'm running?
So here's what I'll tell you. I will never sell out of gold or silver unless I have another asset to put it into, because what we call money today is not money. Money, to be money, it has to be divisible. It has to be a store of wealth. If you go to the Federal Reserve's website for the United States, it says on there its goal is 2% inflation. And by the way, the Federal Reserve is a private entity, not federal. but it says its goal is 2% a year. So if you have $100,000 in the bank, the next year still 100,000, the buying power of 98. The next year still 100,000, the buying power of 96.
Yeah.
So on and so forth. So I will not sell out of gold and silver until I see an opportunity. So say there's a collapse or a pullback in the real estate industry that coincides with the run in silver, then yeah, I'll sell a portion on my silver, buy up some distressed properties for pennies on the dollar. More millionaires are made in times of economic distress, downturn, recessions, depressions, whatever you want to call it, than during normal times. But those people who become millionaires are the people with real wealth, real assets that they can shift around into other assets. I did a video recently on the gold to silver ratio about shifting back and forth over time and how you could turn 100 ounces into like 6,000.
Yeah.
You can do the same thing with other assets. And if I shifted half my stack to real estate, I might have it in that for 10 years and then shift it back to gold and silver. So I'm just playing the shifting game, really.
Yeah, no, I know exactly what you mean. I think it's really important to have a diversification as well. So don't just have every single asset in silver, unless that's what you think. What do you have other things? Do you have any stocks and shares?
I did. I was doing like penny stocks, and I did have some cryptos and stuff, and all that. And I did have some real estate, but I exited out of that with the current market, because I saw times coming, that I thought would be more beneficial to be in metals. So as of right now, I'm currently only in gold and silver. I have no other assets besides gold and silver.
It's definitely a different approach. It's one that I'll commend you on, because I don't have the cojones, to put it in a slightly YouTube friendly way, to do that. I think it's for me much more sensible to have a little bit more diversification. So we do have other assets and things like that as well. So
be careful, man. The market.
No, I know, but it's
the market's only
everything.
going up, huh?
As with everything in my life, and this is completely true. Mrs. Backyard Bullion is always the voice of reason, and anything that we do is always with an air of pre-planning and protection, and making sure that what we've got is sensible and proportionate and not going to put us at risk. So I think that's the most important thing for anybody. She's incredibly good at that.
Here's why I have zero exposure to the market right now. The only reason it's going up is because the Federal Reserve is literally pumping trillions of dollars into it, and other governments are pumping money into it as like a flight to safety type thing.
Yeah.
The moment that stops, the thing comes crumbling down. The market used to be like, for a stock, for a company, it used to be tied to what's called the P&E ratio, the price to earning ratio. Those have been so disjointed since 2008. It is set up for the hugest crash ever. It just needs a catalyst to cause that. The one thing I'll say is that they're still printing money into oblivion. So for the near term, we're still seeing record highs continually in the stock market, which, how do you explain that with the current situation?
I know exactly what
but
you mean.
I'm just saying, be careful, BYB. I don't want you to blow that.
Don't you worry, my friend. I've got a very, very capable woman behind me, just pulling the strings and making sure we're all safe and sound. And that's one thing she did with like my poured silver business. When I started doing this on YouTube, and I was like, the look on her face when I turned to her and said, I want to buy a furnace and melt silver, was priceless. But she basically, once I sold a few pieces and said, I think I can do this as a sustainable hobby, she said, well, draw me up a business plan then. I was like, what? She's like, I'm going to be your investor. Draw me up a business plan.
She's a gangster.
I know she literally is. Like, I get pocket money. No, I joke. We're a team, and she's phenomenal at helping manage my expectations, because there are times when you think, you could just go. Well, I've got a phrase that I use on my channel a fair few times. Like, you go full gonzo mode on things and just completely go after everything. But
it is good to have that voice of reason. I've gone crazy a few times.
I know, but it can be addictive, like buying this stuff.
Oh, for sure.
I mean, you're sitting there with a giant pile of silver. I'm sitting here with a giant pile of silver. At some point or another, we've gone out and bought this because we wanted it, we enjoy it. And I don't know about you, but whenever I unbox a big pile of silver, I always get a little bit of jitters. It's quite nice.
Look at this, man. You're telling me I can buy barrels of pirate rum and silver? Please. Where's charge it? No, I'm kidding.
Show me the money.
I don't shop with credit cards, actually. That was a joke.
No, it's all relative, isn't it? I'm mesmerized by your box of silver. That is really good. What's in all the bags? Is that all constitutional then, behind you?
Yeah, that's all constitutional silver.
Are you in your bunker?
No, I took this out of my bunker. Just kidding.
Ah.
I do not own, I heard you talk about this with the Yankee. Not every American has a bunker.
No,
but,
I know. I generalize, and it's probably a bad stereotype to put on there, but yeah, no,
I'll take a bunker if you want to give me it, though.
it is funny, isn't it? Like you think about these things, think about security, and I know you've probably working in that industry take things very, very safely and securely and seriously. But I think a lot of people always worry about just even owning precious metals, and it's going to automatically put a target on their back, and they're going to be hunted down just because they've used a particular bullion dealer to buy it, and then they're on the government's radar.
You got to be careful, man. Just be smart. Don't go out telling everyone, hey, I stack all this gold and silver, blah, blah, blah. Never tell anyone where you put it. Yeah. Like, my stack is extremely safe. It would be hard for anyone to find it unless they have government resources behind them, right?
Yeah.
But if anyone ever did find it, they would have a really bad day. I'll just leave it at that.
You got a 3-headed dog chained up in the bunker, have you?
It's in a pit of vipers, really.
Pit of vipers, yeah. Snakes. Why does it always have to be snakes?
I mean, that's a scary thing, right? What do you want it to be? Fleas?
I know. It is interesting topic. I mean, we could talk about security and stuff, I suppose, for a whole hour. But it is an interesting world that we live in that is ever changing, I think. And we haven't talked anything about gold much. I know we said right at the start that neither of us have any gold on the table. Do you always think that you'll be favouring silver then?
For the short, I don't know, man.
Because if you keep on at your current rate, you're going to have a very, very heavy pile of metal.
That's what I'm saying. At a certain point, it gets heavy. I would like to stack a metric ton of silver just because I think that'd be a really cool video. But at a certain point, I'm gonna, probably focus more on gold just because of storage issues. But I will tell you this: at 6,000 ounces, it is not as crazy as you would think it is. Once they get to a ton of silver, it will be crazy. So at that point, for sure. Yeah. But I at first started buying 0 gold, but then I started buying gold here and there. So now I think I'm up to 12 or 13 ounces of gold. So yeah. I might start acquiring a bit more of it. But, I do like the use case for gold and silver, the industrial demand. It's used in the medical industry, water purification. They even put silver in yoga pants, believe it or not.
I know, and underwear and socks and ridiculous things like that. It is the be-all and end-all of metals, I think, isn't it? And I'm sure I read somewhere that one of the stimulus programs that Trump has announced is a solar or is a renewable energy program, but it's primarily about solar energy, and silver is so important in solar energy.
There you go. There
so
you go.
That is a big, big thing that I haven't seen a great deal of mainstream channels talking about that I think it's going to have a big impact.
Can I say one thing, BYB, for everyone watching right now? With how crazy gold and silver is coming, when you're talking about security, it's only going to get worse and worse and more dangerous. So 1, don't tell people you're stacking, collecting this. 2, don't tell people where you keep it. 3, if you're posting online, like I never upload from a home network, I never stream from a home network, so I can't get my IP and all that. Just be safe. Be safe, and remember, the higher gold and silver goes, the more scams that are going to come. I recently put out a scam video, and when I've listed links to all these scam websites out there, if it looks too good to be true, it probably is. You're not going to get an American Silver Eagle right now for 15 bucks, even if it looks legit. So be careful, be smart. Don't get scammed.
Wise words indeed. And stick to the big dealers, because there are going to be so many new websites set up for people to think that they're getting a good deal, and you buy your silver or gold through this website, you never receive it, and you might get your money back one day, but you're going to be out of pocket for an awful long time, and of course not having any of that silver actually delivered. So it's definitely wise words from you there to be safe and be sensible, and I think you've got very good head on you in terms of obviously security and safety and protection. So yeah, wise words indeed.
You want to do something fun, BYB?
Go for it. What do you got in mind?
Well, somebody once told me I don't stack poured silver because it's fake and this and that. So
you're going to test my silver.
Let's throw a couple BYB pieces up on here and let's test them, right, for everyone to see.
Have you not done this before on mine? Or you must have done. You did it on all of them, didn't you?
I mean, your first pieces for sure I did, because I didn't know you. But then after that, I'm like, all right.
This will be embarrassing more for the Edinburgh Assay Office if they fail.
Yeah, there we go. Now, really, for this wand, you need a flat area, so this one might not read that well, but let's check this one first. Bam! Can you
Right
see
in the
that?
middle. Right in the middle.
You see it?
Yeah, green.
See, this one's hard to get a reading on because it's not flat, so that's not going to work good.
Oh.
Don't panic. You're fine. Don't panic.
What does yellow mean? It's on the cusp, or?
It's just not getting a good reading because it has all this pitting and stuff. It has. You see how this is flat?
Okay,
For this
yeah.
wand to work, it has to be sitting flat. But what we can do, the yellow doesn't mean it's fake either. The yellow just means like you want to weigh it and compare other things with it. If something's fake, and I'll show you what a fake thing looks like, it's obvious. So I'll switch to a smaller wand here. And then we can do this other stuff. So see, that's fine.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean it's not pure, but it's just the different shapes and sizes of metal and the way it puts the current through them. So as long as you're in the yellow, you see that little red sliver?
Yeah.
For this to be fake, you would have to be all the way over. See, I can trick it like that. It would have to look like that. So for instance, I have some fake, I was actually making a video on fake stuff, some fake Morgans here. So this is what it looks like when it's actually fake. And this thing saved me because people sold me these and then I checked them when I got it, they're fake, and then I got a refund on them. So that's what a fake thing looks like.
Yeah. Yeah.
See how it's just pinned over? So this thing will put a signal through it with the weight. So when you're seeing it, when you're, I'm on the 90%.
I was going to say that's very wrong.
When you're seeing it like that, it's
Yeah.
just, I have it set for 1 ounce right now.
Yeah,
So
sure.
just-
So it's thicker, isn't it?
It can tell it's not 1 ounce.
Yeah.
So if you want to be really particular, you set the weight down here. You can
Yeah.
do different measurements.
Yeah.
But as long as you're in the yellow and far away from a red, you're going to be good. So
I have thought about getting a Sigma machine. But
they're really good, and you want to get the pro version. I can't get a good read on this one. You want to get the pro version because a lot of the new fakes, especially the gold bars with tungsten, can get tricked off the original Sigma. So that's the reason they came out with the pro.
mate,
You want to make sure to get the pro.
it's funny you say tungsten. I have a big giant cube of tungsten, and don't worry, I don't put it in my silver, but it is one of the coolest things that you could ever have. This thing here in my hand weighs 2.5 kilos, and it's tiny in the grand scheme of things. It's mad. So heavy and so dense.
And for any conspiracy theorists out there, like here's a Scottsdale silver. You see, it's still going to show it in the yellow.
Yeah.
Okay, so just because it's not in the green, don't think it's fake. For something to be completely fake, I mean, you saw it. It's going to be pegged over.
Has to be a long way over. But just because International Stacker's got one of these big fancy machines, there are other methods of testing things to within a good degree of accuracy. Of course, every test has got its limits. So for you guys out there who's looking at this going, I can't afford a few $1,000s on a fancy machine, there are other ways of doing it.
Look at this. Listen.
Flat and horrible.
That's fake. That's fake. This is real. So there's
glorious.
3 ways to check. So here's a better one. So this one's fake. Now listen, this one doesn't resonate. You see it just stops?
Yeah.
Now here's a real one.
Yeah.
You see how long it goes for?
It's a wonderful metal silver with so many different properties. It is incredible.
Yeah.
So yeah, for you guys out there, just don't be afraid of buying silver and gold. Just educate yourself and don't be afraid of touching silver. I think it's plain to see that both International Stacker and I are not worried about touching our silver. There's always got to be a line drawn somewhere. These Eagles and Britannias you see on my table are all milky, dirty, horrible ones that I thought one day probably to melt rather than sell on. But what's your thoughts on touching silver and gold? Do you like it or do you recommend it? Obviously for numismatics and things, collectibles, that's one other story.
Here's what I'll say. My goal is to sell things, eventually make money. So if I get BU coins, like if I get a tube of Eagles or a tube of something, I won't touch them.
Yeah.
Just because I want to keep them sparkling fresh. So when I sell them, they look the best. And then for like a special bar like this, super shiny, I won't touch it. But like constitutional silver, poured silver, all that stuff is meant to be touched. The only reason I'm not touching maybe constitutional with my hand if it's like a pristine BU. Otherwise, I'm touching my silver. So you'll see me with my government bullion or brilliant uncirculated 90%. I might use a glove. Other than that, I mean, that's why poured silver is so fun, because it's meant to be touched.
Totally. Especially things like this hammered piece. I love doing the hammer effect pieces now because you could drop it on the floor and it wouldn't make a difference. You know, it's already been hammered thousands of times. So, you know, I'm very much a firm believer of if it's just a piece of poured silver or a milky, dirty, grimy Britannia that's never going to get more than spot price, it makes no difference. And I think actually you learn a lot more from touching it. If you touch a real silver coin and then you touch a fake silver coin, you can even tell that the real one is real because of the heat exchange from your hand. Silver is just so good at exchanging that heat.
And guess what? Sometimes with the toning, the patina, people will pay more for it. Look at this. Look at this. These are the most disgusting maple leaves you'd ever see, but this is the lost maple leaf horde. This was found with a metal detector by somebody in the Arizona desert, and then I got a opportunity to buy the collection, so I bought it.
Wow.
And I made a video, should I melt these down or should I keep them? And people love them. People actually offered me at the time like $15 above spot for these. I didn't do it because I wanted to keep them, but I've given a few of them away. So just because a coin is dirty and dingy, sometimes the story or the reason why is worth more than its weight in silver.
Oh yeah, I agree. And stories is what coins are all about. I love the history of coinage, and that's where I started. Like a lot of these coins here on the table are ones that I bought new, but they're new, you know, bought from the last couple of years. But coins like these have history, and I love that. And often, yeah, you might pay, certainly here in the UK, you might pay a little over what you guys would in the US for a Morgan or a peace dollar. But for me, it is like holding a piece of history. It's like you say, the cowboys going in the tavern with this Morgan and buying a round of drinks for everyone. It's just part of our collective human culture. And one thing that I always love to say is that no matter where humans were around the world, throughout history, separated by continents and oceans, silver and gold were the common denominator. That has got to mean something. Like civilizations around the world used these metals as money. And no one had contact with each other. There was no memo that went around, no email to say, by the way, guys, this white shiny stuff and this yellow shiny stuff makes fantastic coins. Everybody just worked it out on their own. And I think that's going to be with us for a long time.
So what silver do you want me to bring you from the United States? Because ladies and gentlemen, in the near future, I'm going to be visiting the Germania Mint. As soon as the EU lets Americans back in the EU, I'm going to be visiting the Germania Mint. And on my way to the Germania Mint in Poland, I'm going to drop into London and grab a pint here with my friend. And is there any coins that are hard to get in England that you want me to bring?
I am a big fan of Mexican coins, and I have got a little bit of a hankering for, I had a bunch of them here a minute ago. I can't remember where I put them all. In fact, actually I found them. So I love these 1968 Mexican Olympics commemorative silver coins. They're like 80% silver, I think, or but I love them. I actually really like the way they look, they feel, and to get a big roll of them is a goal for me. They've got some lovely edge lettering. But so Mexican theme coins are often quite difficult to get hold of. Surprisingly, the US coins are quite easy to get hold of. That also, I do have quite a lot of them already because we bought a big 10-kilo bag about 2 years ago of old constitutional silver. So we're all set when it comes to constitutional. We're going to basically turn into a bank if the world collapses. But Mexican themed silver is always.
I can do that. Cool. I can hook you up.
Oh, thank you.
Speaking of Mexican, check this out. 1 second. All right, I was just moving this to a different storage. Check this out. This is a mint sealed tube of 1985 unzas.
Oh, they look shiny. Don't open
look,
that.
Look at the toning on this back one. I bet there's some beautiful toners in here.
Yeah. I'm surprised there's not more toning on the top one.
I know. I think it's because people didn't touch that, but they're more likely to touch this because they're just popping it out.
Oh, that looks lovely. So when I suppose you don't know because the EU's not letting you in, but any idea when you might be coming this neck of the woods?
I would think. There's my alarm. Wake up for the BYB interview. I would think it was going to be. You know, I could probably do it by the end of the year, but there's going to be snow.
Yeah.
So honestly, I might be looking at January if I don't get out there in the next 2 months. So we'll see.
Very cool. Well, you've got a pretty cool thing there to go to the Germanium in. I have been. This is a little bit of a secret, but I guess for anybody watching into what are we, minute 56 of this this podcast, I've been talking with the Royal Mint about getting up there, and when COVID is over, theoretically, we'll be having a behind-the-scenes tour of some of their very special vaults. But it's
That is
all
epic.
I can't wait, but it is all very early days, and I think that's the right moment to drop something in this 57th minute of a stream, just to say, might happen one day, but we have some plans to get in there. That'd be incredible. But
Take me with you, BYB. Take me with you.
if you can fit in a rucksack, I'll lift you and I'll carry you in.
Do you watch The Mandalorian?
No, I don't.
This is the Beskar steel ingot like copy, you know.
Yeah.
Cool.
So, my friend, I think we should wrap this up, because for those who have been watching into the latter stages of this, I think you're probably fed up of the BYB ramble and the honorary international stacker ramble. I don't know. My ramblers love me rambling, and they could sit here and watch me rambling all day long. I don't really know why, but they love it. But it has been a real pleasure to talk with you, my friend.
Hey, you as well, BYB, and I'm not joking. I am planning a trip out there, hopefully in the near future. So,
well, I'll tell you what.
I'll bring you one of these full of Mexican silver.
Yeah, totally. When you come, I think we should try and plan to get you down here and pour some silver.
Oh, that is dangerous.
Do you not want to try it?
Oh, I want to try it, but I don't want to be the guy that burnt down BYB's laboratory, but I'll do it. We'll be safe, folks. We'll follow the OSHA regulations.
If we can get it working, and if International Stacker wants to sign an insurance waiver on my house, then he's fine to go. But
I'm down, man. Thank you for the invite.
No, I think it would be kind of cool, and we could do what I'd love. And this is going to sound awful. I had this in my mind, and it's an image I can't get out now. I want to get you on the table.
I want to get me on the table.
I want to get you. It would be so cool to actually do a collab video in person with someone. But yeah, maybe one day. We'll see.
Let's do it, man. I'm down.
Excellent. So, thank you, International Stacker, for joining me today for this International Fireside Chat. And thank you to everybody who've been watching our Fireside Chat. I hope you've enjoyed it. You guys should know the drill by now. If you do, put that thumbs up. And we've been putting this video out on both our channels at the same time. So if you've watched it on my channel, go over to International Stackers, hit the thumbs up button on his version, or watch it as well.
And if you watched it on mine, go to his right now, smash the like and subscribe.
Definitely, and exactly, subscribe to his channel as well, because he's going places at the moment. International Stacker, you'll be overtaking me in a minute, I reckon.
We'll see, man.
It's not
we'll
a
see.
competition.
It's a goal, but we'll see.
It's not a competition. Anyway, great to have you, and thank you all for watching. Last thing to say is have a fantastic week ahead, and we'll see you on the next one.
Catch you on the next one. Woo!